Good afternoon, freedom lovers, Great Australian Party members and Queenslanders. Today is Friday, the 27th of March, 2025, and this is Journey to the Top, episode 11, an average Australian's quest to see if he can make it to the Senate of the Commonwealth of Australia. And today, ladies and gentlemen, is the penultimate day before the probable announcement tomorrow by the Prime Minister Anthony Albanese of the election that is scheduled now to be held in May. So there is intense speculation that it will be announced tomorrow. In fact, the Prime Minister's office accidentally tweeted out via X today that the government was already cancelled, was already in shutdown mode and would not be returning. So we almost had 1 day less of the terror reign of Anthony Albanese and his bureaucratic overreach. But unfortunately, we need to endure one more day of our Prime Minister and their corrupt government tomorrow. But I very much look forward to seeing that announcement tomorrow, where the Parliament shall be dissolved. That will give about 33 days of campaigning, with then an election likely to be held on Saturday, the 3rd of May. Importantly, the pre-polling opens up about 10 days or more before that day. So for any people out there looking to help out with the Great Australian Party and myself to reclaim justice and freedom in this state and in this country, I would love for you to join me in volunteering by handing out how to vote cards on both pre-poll day and also on polling day. If you would like to help out that way, muchly appreciated. Please direct message me either at william.bay@greataustralianparty.com.au or via my Facebook page, William Bay, or on X at Dr. Billy Bay. Would love to see you there. Sticking it to the majors on election day, because, ladies and gentlemen, that is entirely what it's all about. We must vote the Australian Freedom Alliance 1 to 6 above the Senate. This is the beauty of the preferential voting system in our electoral system. Queensland will be electing 6 senators this election, again, likely for the 3rd of May. And therefore, you get to choose in your preferential order senators from 1, your first preference, to 6. The great thing is, because there are enough freedom parties and minor right parties, 6 of us, you will not need, if you don't want to put the major parties, Liberal or Labor, above the line and thus take away their electoral funding. Because if none of the votes go to them, they will lose power, they will lose money, they will lose influence. And I think it is unconstitutional and undemocratic that this uniparty, Labor and Liberal, they get funding repeatedly from the government. They vote themselves funding. They boost up their coffers, while the little parties, whether it's the Great Australian Party or the Libertarians or People First, we get nothing from the governmental system unless we get a number 1 in the box, either on the House of Representatives green paper or a number 1 on the box in the white paper for the Senate. So the system is set up to keep the big boys back in business. And that's what I don't like about how our politicians have treated us, ladies and gentlemen. They've known that as long as they're in the big camp of Labor or Liberal, as long as they play by the rules, follow the orders by the World Economic Forum or the power brokers, or they'll get their turn sooner or later to be a parliamentary secretary or maybe a minister or at least elected to Parliament if they just play by the rules. But we from the Great Australian Party play differently. We are about serving the people, not lording over the people. And that is why I believe it's important that this time we are ready for change, and Australians need to elect politicians like myself who are not politicians. We are just everyday farmers, doctors, mechanics, TV producers like Fuzzy down in West Australia for Gap. We know your concerns. We know about the cost of living pressures. We know how much it costs to fill up a tank of petrol. We know the impact of interest rate rises on your either mortgage or on the cost of rentals, and we will work exceptionally hard to make this a better place for Australia again. It is so outrageous that we have so much resources and wealth in this country, and yet we are $1 trillion in debt. $1 trillion in debt. How are our children, our grandchildren, even ourselves going to continue paying back this debt especially if interest rates rise. This is going to bankrupt and destroy our country. We've seen it happen in South American countries. I do not want to see this country descend into chaos and civil war or whatever may happen when the cost of living skyrockets, not just by 5 or 10% per year, but thousands of percent. Hyperinflation, like they saw in Germany after the First World War, like they saw in Argentina and Venezuela. Some people think this can't happen here, but because our currency is just backed by debt, it's not backed by gold, it's not backed by Bitcoin, that means that it can be inflated away. The government has unlimited spending power. The central bank, the Reserve Bank of Australia, has been borrowing completely out of control ever since we went off the gold standard. Now we have $1 trillion of debt. This has to stop. People think things may be okay, even though the cost of living is harsh, but really it's not okay. We are facing bankruptcy, and with bankruptcy will come much civil unrest, people dying, a degradation of health outcomes, and general poor well-being for the lot of us. This should not and cannot happen on a continent that is the great southern land. We have been blessed with a great constitution, the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution of 1900. We have been blessed with so much land, oceanic resources, people, innovations. We have a good structure in place if we just reassert that it is the politicians who should be serving us, not the other way around. Government should be afraid of its people. We should not be afraid of the government. And I have led by example by showing the government, that is AHPRA, that I as a doctor am not afraid and were not afraid. And that is why I took them to court for the right to informed consent, for freedom of speech, and beat them at their own game, self-represented, because we do have democracy and freedom of speech in this country. We just have to exercise it. So that's my little rant over for this afternoon. I am looking forward to seeing the election call tomorrow so we can get into official campaign mode. And with official campaign mode comes official campaign donations for corflutes, advertising, and all the other things necessary to get the vote out. You can make donations at greataustralian.party.com.au. Please put in the reference line Queensland or Dr. William Bay. I would love to have your support, love to have your financial support so we can take this country back and beat the majors at their own game. And remember, because you can vote 1 to 6 above the line, this is not a pipe dream. This is not fantasy. This is a reality. We can have Rennick, Roberts, William, and all the rest in the Senate in Queensland to fight the bastards in Canberra and to take this country and make it strong and proper and legal and constitutional again. This Saturday, I will be speaking with those senators and others, including Dylan Oakley, at the Tyranny of Silence event in Hervey Bay. The following weekend, we have Meet the Senate candidates in the forum in Springwood. And then on the 13th, we have a fundraising dinner for myself at Indooroopilly Yum Cha via riseupbrisbaneaustralia.com. Get your tickets there, only $30. As always, I'm happy to receive your questions via email or direct message on Twitter or Facebook. I really enjoy reading all the positive comments that's been coming my way. I feel that we do have a good level of support there out in the community for change. I believe the time for change is now. This is our opportunity to get freedom candidates in the Senate. Let's take it, Australia. Let's vote 1 to 6 above the line, and together we will win. Thank you for listening this afternoon. God bless you. God bless Australia. And together we can make great changes.